Yo, what is up, boys? Adrian Nickelodeon coming at you from Sydney, Australia, and today we are going over all of the features on the brand new Ruroc Atlas 3.0 Joker DC Comic Edition. Roll the intro. So here it is, boys, the brand new Ruroc Joker. Man, this helmet looks insane. The artwork, especially the hair on the back of this helmet, looks friggin' incredible. Blood around the mouth, the teeth, the ha-has on the back of the helmet. This thing looks friggin' sick. Anyway, I did an unboxing of this thing in natural sunlight, so if you want to check that video out, that's going to be the first link in the description below. Today, we're going to go over all of the features of the Ruroc Atlas 3.0 Joker Edition helmet, starting with the updated new visor. So I've got a Ruroc Atlas 2.0 here for reference. Just quickly, we're going to touch on the visor mechanism for a second here. The visor mech has been reduced by about 25% compared to the 2.0. They've taken a little bit of material out of the inside of the helmet to pop the mechanism a little bit further into the helmet, and they've also streamlined this part of the visor to reduce turbulence coming off the back of the helmet. As you can see, compared to the 2.0, they've gotten rid of these little plastic visor clips that go onto the side of the visor, so they've again made that more streamlined. We still have the same little baton system to change the visor with these tiny little pins. Now personally, guys, I'll be honest with you, I'm not a fan of these pins because I feel like I could lose them when I'm changing the visor, so do try not to lose them. But other than that, I think that the actual visor mechanism itself, especially compared to other helmet brands that I've used, I think it's way more robust. It doesn't have any tiny little springs in there or tiny little moving parts that are going to break, so it kind of makes sense why they went with that visor pin. Something worth noting is that if you listen to the 2.0 visor compared to the 3.0 visor, they sound completely different. They've completely redesigned the detents on this visor to, one, give you a brand new crack position while you're riding, to let a whole bunch of airflow through the helmet, especially when you're riding in summer. I mean, guys, I live in Sydney, Australia. We get about 300 days of sunshine here every year. So it's winter here at the moment in Sydney, but come summer, I'm definitely going to get a lot of use out of this visor position. They've got some other positions here which are a little bit redundant. This one here lets a little bit too much air in, if I'm honest. This one here is pretty dope when you're sitting at the lights and you don't want to put the visor all the way up. Keeps the sunlight off your eyes and also looks, I mean, look at it. It looks cool in that position, doesn't it? And then you've got another two positions all the way open. I feel like this one here, just before it goes all the way to the top, is a little redundant, but hey, it's there if you want it. Ruroc are trying to make everyone happy. They're definitely a company that listen to their customers. Some other features surrounding the visor real quick is that the visor takes a pin lock system so that you've got an anti-fog function in the visor if you live in a humid or a wet sort of climate. And something else that they don't really advertise, I had to research this. There's a vent on the front here. There's a three-way switch just in there, so you can have the vent closed, half open or fully open. But when that's in the closed position, air still travels through the front of the helmet and washes over the inside of the helmet, clearing the helmet of fog and mist and condensation. Now, it only works while you're riding and while there's airflow thrown. Fuck. Jesus. And while there's airflow flowing through the front of the helmet. They've redesigned the seal on the visor as well, and you can see there's tiny little cutouts here, and what this does is it lets the air flow over the front of the visor and escape through the back here. And obviously the pressure difference on the outside of the helmet will suck all of that moist air out of the inside of the helmet, away from the visor, and hopefully keep it more anti-fog than a traditional sort of helmet would. So pretty cool little piece of engineering point there. Guys, education is key. I've seen so many people post on the forum saying, oh, the visor doesn't line up. They haven't done a really good job with the visor seal. It is 100% intentional. And like, as I said, guys, education is key. Now, one other update that they've got on the 3.0 that I really like compared to the 2.0 is the visor locking mechanism is completely updated on the 3.0 helmet. Anyone that has a 2.0 helmet knows that that little pin in there sometimes used to get really stuck and it made the visor really hard to like crank open when you were trying to open it. I actually took the pin out and stopped using it altogether. I mean, the visor itself, if you have a look, it's got a pretty positive close to it, so I don't think that wind would get underneath it and pop it open. So I took the pin off, but Ruroc listened to customers' feedback and they changed the visor locking mechanism to this little tab here. Again, you've got a positive close on the visor. I know I'm getting fingerprints all over this thing, but again, a positive close on the visor. So honestly, I feel like it doesn't even need a locking mechanism on this visor because it closes so well. Just flowing on from the vent on the front, we've got a vent across the top here. We've got another one here on the top. On the back, we have one. And then right at the back of the helmet, underneath this spoiler, we've got 2 exhaust vents that again, pull and suck hot air out of the back of the helmet, especially if you're riding on hot days. Of course, if you live in a cold climate and you don't want so much airflow through the helmet, you can purchase plugs to plug these up from the inside. Spinning the helmet all the way around, we're gonna have a look here at the side vents on the helmet. Now, these side vents are Lamborghini Aventador inspired side vents. They're a little bit of a clout tick, a little bit of a cherry on top. I'll talk about this in another video, but these vents were actually open on the 1.0 helmet. Some people did complain that there was a lot of wind noise coming in through the vents because the ear placement is right there inside of the helmet. Ruroc listened to their customers on the 2.0 helmet. They ended up putting a patch over the vent and also on the 3.0. So these are legacy side vents. They're non-functional. They do look really, really cool though. The whole helmet itself looks really, really cool. I love the way that Ruroc have broken away from the traditional helmet design and designed something so frigging beautiful. One thing I love about this thing here compared to, I used to wear an AGV Pista GP. One thing I really like about this is the snub nose on the front of the helmet, so that when you're wearing it and you're doing head checks, the helmet doesn't catch on the shoulder pads of your jacket because it doesn't stick out as far as some of the other helmet brands. All in all, pretty cool design. Again, on the inside of the helmet, we've got the Fidlock, which is the magnetic closing system, 10 times faster than the traditional D-rings. Ryan F9 did a video on these things and they tested how much weight they could actually take, and it was very, very similar to the D-ring. So I think the Fidlock definitely has a place on motorcycle helmets. Not to mention that when you get to the shops or when you get home after a ride, it's so easy just to pop the helmet off. Or if you're about to take off on a ride and you've already thrown your gloves on, it's so easy to attach this thing with a gloved hand. Showcasing more of the bottom of the helmet, we've got the chin curtain here. Now boys, I've got a massive beard, so I need a little bit more space on the front of the helmet. So I usually pull these things right out of the helmet, and I never wear chin curtains on any of my helmets. I also feel like if you wear a chin curtain, it makes the helmet feel a little bit more claustrophobic. And coming from a hot climate like Australia with 300 days of sunshine, as I said, I actually prefer having a little bit more airflow around my face and around the inside of the helmet. So I don't really ride with a chin curtain. I usually take these off. The liner compared to the 2.0, the liner is completely redesigned on the inside. This thing, I don't know if you can see that. I'll try and get these straps out of the way. There's the new liner. It is smooth as silk. It's buttery smooth. The helmet just feels so nice when it's on the head. People complained that the 2.0 liner wasn't very premium, and I didn't actually have any issues with it. I'll just show it to you real quick, but it is sort of like it's like a honeycomb sort of weave material on the inside of the helmet. Again, I thought it felt really nice, but Ruroc, the company that they are, and the reason why I trust in their company is because they listen to customer feedback. They try and appease their customers and roll out real world changes that real world customers are giving them. Over here, we've got some emergency pull tabs for emergency services. If you have a motorcycle accident, the paramedics are able to pull the cheek pads out of this helmet and remove the helmet without moving your head too much. And of course, we've got the shockwave system in the back here. We've got an aerial and an aux cord. This is an accessory. You need to buy the shockwave separately. But yeah, anyway, what I love about the shockwave is that there's nothing on the outside of the helmet that looks ugly or takes away from the aesthetic of the helmet. It's all built in. You don't have to worry about it being waterproof. I remember back in the day, I had a Senna 20S on the outside of one of my other helmets and rode around with it for a week before water got into it and it was completely stuffed and ended up throwing it out. So I like the fact that the shockwave doesn't sit on the outside of the helmet. It doesn't create any extra turbulence or drag on the outside of the helmet. If you were to crash with one of those external units on the outside of the helmet, it could act as a leverage point, twisting your neck and your head around if it caught on something on the road. So I think it's great that Ruroc have integrated that on the inside of the helmet. These things really are one of the best urban helmets that I've come across in my 30 years of riding. But anyway, boys, I don't think there's much more to cover on this helmet other than showing you the wicked design. Obviously, this is a DC Comic copyrighted design. I would say that DC Comics probably said, hey guys, like this is the way you have to do it. The smile has to be red, the hair has to be green, the back of the helmet has to be purple. You guys do a couple of designs, make up a couple of renditions, and we'll approve it and let you guys know what you can and can't do. But I think for a licensed helmet to such a huge company like DC Comics, I think the Ruroc designers frigging nailed this one, especially like the way that the ha-has are etched in here, kind of like on the inside of a public toilet stall, someone etching with a knife, and then they turn into the purple ha-has on the back of the helmet. I love that the top of the helmet, if you were just to look at the top of the helmet, it looks like a green helmet, but then you spin it around and you've got that evil looking smile on the front. Honestly, boys, every time I pick up this helmet, it gives me the fizz. It looks so good. Well done Ruroc for pumping out such a sick design. Well done Ruroc for actually listening to their customers and making so many upgrades to the 3.0 helmet. These guys, their business model, I fuck with it. I'm 100% about it, guys. If you're new here on the channel, I've been motovlogging on YouTube for about 10 years. I've worked with so many brands in the past, but Ruroc, hands down, they've been the most responsive, easiest to work with. They've been the most relaxed. They just send me these helmets and they say, hey bro, do whatever you want. So I don't have to sit here and say that they're awesome. And again, you don't have to take my word on it. If you want to see some unpaid real world reviews, jump onto the Ruroc Motorcycle Gang. There's about 60,000 people over there. Real customers reviewing these helmets every single day, good and bad points. To be fair, there's a lot of customers over there that hate Ruroc, ended up buying a Ruroc helmet and are posting on the Ruroc Motorcycle Gang saying, boys, I don't know what the hate's all about. These helmets are freaking awesome. But yeah, anyway, if you want to cop one of these, I've got a link down in the description below. It'll take you straight to the DC Comics section of the website so you can check out the Joker helmet. They've also got a Batman helmet, and I feel like, done a little bit of research, I feel like they may have some other DC comic characters coming out. I can't confirm that. Don't get too excited. There has been a little bit of chatter on the Ruroc Motorcycle Gang. I am so friggin' keen for them to bring out a Harley Quinn motorcycle helmet. I would love to rock the Joker and have my girl rock the Harley Quinn helmet here on the channel. I reckon it would look sick. Just one other thing, guys. This is the green iridescent visor that I've got on here. So I'm not sure how it looks on the camera. I haven't got a screen on this camera, but it should look green on the front and purple on the sides. And as you spin it around, you should be able to see green and purple. I'll check it out in editing, but boys, there is one other thing I'd like to touch on. These helmets are ridiculously light. I've got an AGV Pista GP, which is the helmet that I came off before I jumped on the Ruroc. The AGV Pista GP is literally the exact same helmet that Valentino Rossi uses when he rides MotoGP. It is stupid light. Carbon fiber, super thin. You wouldn't believe it. I've chucked the Pista GP on the scales and I've chucked the Ruroc on the scales, and the Ruroc Atlas 3.0 is lighter than the AGV Pista GP, the race helmet that Valentino Rossi uses. So I just want to talk about that really quick. Guys, these are full carbon fiber shell helmets. T300 aerospace grade carbon fiber is what they use to manufacture these helmets. I want to make a point because I see a fair amount of people complaining about how loud these helmets are. Guys, if you are coming off a budget helmet, if you're coming off a $100, $200 plastic shell helmet, maybe even a $300 to $400 tri-composite sort of helmet, those helmets are going to be heavier than the Ruroc. They're going to have more material on the inside that absorbs sound and doesn't do as well of a job absorbing impact energy. The carbon fiber helmets, they are super light, super sleek. There is not much material in them. They are extremely rigid. Carbon fiber is 7 times stronger than steel. So the reason that they use the carbon fiber is because when the helmet is impacted, it stops the helmet from splitting open to ensure that the EPS liner does its job in protecting your brain and head from injury, basically, to sum it up in a nutshell. But guys, if you are swapping from a cheap helmet going to something that is full carbon fiber like the Ruroc Atlas 3.0, just a heads up guys, carbon fiber helmets, all carbon fiber helmets, especially if they're super light like the Atlas is, sound will travel through it far more easily than something that's heavier and made with less quality materials. But when I'm riding around, I definitely can hear my exhaust on my bike as if I wasn't wearing a helmet. Or if I was stopped at a cafe and I was talking to other riders with my other older style helmets, I'd have to take my helmet off because I wasn't able to hear conversations while talking to people. When I'm wearing the Atlas 2.0 and the 3.0 and I'm standing next to someone having a conversation, it's like I'm having a conversation without wearing a helmet on my head. There's no muffling of the sound around the ears. You're probably not going to be able to see this. I'll try and show you. Just inside here, there are huge ear cutouts that makes the helmet way more comfortable to wear. I feel like when you're really hot, a lot of people kick off their shoes because a lot of heat travels out of your feet, and I feel like the exact same is the case for the other end of your body. I feel like if you've got something on your ears, it warms the body. For example, if you live in an area where there's a lot of snow, they sell earmuffs to keep your ears warm. I feel like the opposite is applicable to wearing motorcycle helmets. There's no material around the ears on the inside of this helmet. It's super comfortable. It definitely aids in cooling your head, especially if you live in a hot climate. But the trade-off is because there's no material on the inside of the helmet up against your ear, there's no muffling of sound. So again, guys, the helmet is loud. You should be wearing earplugs while you're riding anyway. Contrary to popular belief, earplugs are more effective at stopping the pressure changes when you're riding at speed with a helmet. They stop the pressure changes from damaging your eardrum. So you should really be wearing earplugs anyway. I don't want to get into an earplug review, but the type of earplugs that I use are those molded ones that mold into your ears. You can get them on eBay. It's a moldable putty. You squish it up, stick it in your ear, let it sit there for 10 minutes, pull it out, and then you've got a mold of your ear canal, and you can, it's a little bit strange how you put them in. You sort of like twist them in, but they're my go-to earplugs. I've used like construction side earplugs before, those little soft foam ones that you squish and you roll and you chuck in there. If you are going to use those tiny little orange ones that you squish and roll around, I'll give you a tip: cut them in half so they don't stick so far out of your ear, so that when you chuck your helmet on, it doesn't rip out of your ear when you're chucking them on. But yeah, boys, just to let you know, full carbon fiber shell helmets, doesn't matter what brand, what make they are, they're going to be extremely loud. The trade-off of that is that there is less inertial force on your neck if you were to have a crash, because there's less weight in the helmet, so they're a lot safer. Wearing this thing is like I'm not even wearing a helmet at all. There's no fatigue on my neck after long rides. I mean, guys, it's really up to you. If you want a cheap helmet that weighs a ton, go and buy a cheap helmet that weighs a ton. If you want a premium quality helmet that's made out of the right stuff, super light, super functional, one of the best urban helmets that I've ever used. Crack position for summer riding, awesome styling, snub nose on the front, sick venting across the top of the helmet, dual exhaust ports on the back, shockwave system on the bottom, premium liner, and awesome styling, then boys, get yourself a Ruroc. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you liked it, hit the like button. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.